Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of the Vessel and Voice podcast. I'm your host, Kim Charlson. And in today's episode, Monty's going to be sharing why we have certain energies that we carry forward lifetime to lifetime, as well as why we have certain energetic reactions when certain events happen, and what we can do to start working through those different energies in our lives. It feels like energetically in the collective right now, there's a lot of people coming to the end of certain periods of life, certain ways of behaving. And that over the last couple of years, so many of us have been doing a lot of healing, whether it's been through spiritual means or through something else. A lot of us have been working through the different patterns and the different energies that we bring up within ourselves, trying to rectify those, behave differently, be a better version of ourselves. And for me, this has been personally coming up a lot over the last couple of weeks. So I have noticed and paid attention. A lot of my clients and a lot of my friends are also experiencing the same thing. So I do think that this episode is going to be very helpful to explain some of why, even though we've done all this healing, we're being faced with some of the exact same challenges. And we're looking at our behaviors and saying, why am I behaving this way? I know that I don't want to. And yet I'm still creating these energies, creating these reactions within myself. And I don't understand how to stop doing that. And Monty shares in this week's episode a little bit about where that comes from so that way we can understand how we can work forward with these energies. A few things to know about what Monty talks about has to do with what he's been sharing with us in the last two episodes. So if you haven't listened to How the Soul Grows, episode 13 and episode 14 of what happens energetically when we die, I would urge you to listen to those in tandem with this episode because it gives a more complete picture of how our soul grows and how we work with different energies lifetime to lifetime. And it gives the full context of how we can begin working with these energies. So let's go to Monty, my spirit guide that I voice channel, and he'll share his wisdom with us of how we can start moving through these different energies a little bit better, even if we've done a lot of healing. Thank you for joining us for this episode, where we will be continuing our theme on the different energies and how you work with them through different iterations, different incarnations, different life events. In this episode in particular, we will be speaking about how you carry forward energies from previous incarnations and previous events, as well as how events in your life as you are living it right now are still affecting you, even though you have moved on. Because there is a distinct similarity between when you have an event in your current incarnation and that energy sticks with you and is something that you still need to work through and transmute into more desirable energies, as well as the energies from previous lifetimes and those events. Now, let us first begin with the energy of events as they are in this lifetime, because this will give you a deeper understanding, as this is in your current experience, to then understand previous lifetimes and how those energies affect you and how you are working with them as part of your soul growth. So, in this lifetime, contemplate of an event that happened that was very difficult for you, very challenging. It could be something that was challenging in your childhood or in your early adolescence, or even it may have been no more than a few days ago. It does not matter because energy, as we have said before, is timeless. And yet, that energy of that event, when you recall that event and contemplate it and remember it, the energy begins to arise again. And then you have a reaction within yourself of the energies that you create. Now, this is what you need to understand. Events as they occur have a specific energy. Rather than it is merely physical, there is an energy of a uniqueness to that event. And it can be that you will encounter in this lifetime and other lifetimes the same energy, but in different physical formats. This is when you are repeating different patterns and are learning to work through these different energies. But how it occurs is there is an energy of an event that you encounter. Now, it does not matter whether or not you take that energy into yourself or if you react to that energy. It is merely your own energetic response that matters. So, for example, say there is an event where something difficult occurs, and the energy of that event is that you are being challenged in some way of your authority, your sovereignty, your personal space, your boundaries. That can be in many different formats, as you can think right now of many different times when that has occurred within your life already. But as it stands within your energy, how you react to that may have evolved. And this is how your soul grows and changes. That when you were very young in your life and your authority was questioned, your sovereignty was questioned, your boundaries were crossed, maybe your reaction as a young child was to cry, to demonstrate that you do not like what is occurring. This is a very common reaction for infants and is a very natural thing to do. Now, as you grew up and got older, there was a societal conditioning that said, when this occurs, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to feel the sadness and the hurt. And for certain individuals, that may have transferred into anger. And this is a transmutation of the energies that you create within yourself as a reaction. This is not taking in this energy, but rather reacting to the energy of the situation. That instead of crying as an infant, suddenly as you reach toddler age, you begin to want to assert your boundaries, and you do this through anger many times. This is how toddlers very often express that when their boundaries have been crossed. I no longer am allowed to cry. That is unacceptable. So I am going to express it by creating the energy of anger inside of myself and radiating that out and saying, I am upset that my boundaries have been crossed, that my sovereignty has been questioned, that my authority over my own space has been challenged. Now, as you become older, that conditioning begins to change. You also begin to grow, and your reactions change to when your authority and sovereignty and self-determination is challenged by an event. But this is where it begins to become much more individual. And this is because energetically, your energy in each individual life is growing, evolving, and solidifying. Because when you come in at a soul level into your physical form as an infant, it is not yet complete. It is still developing your ability to bring in your fullness of your soul and to be able to exude it. This is something that happens over the first 7 to 14 years of your life. Now, as you go past that developmental stage and begin to find your place within the world, you begin to repeat patterns even more of the society around you. And so that dictates how you may react into these situations and the types of energies you may create. Because you do not live in a bubble energetically, you are affected by the system in which you live. And that can create certain reactions within your energy because you are replicating what you are seeing. There are those who have worked through this, however, and that they seemingly have a different direction, a different reaction of their energy, even though their prevailing culture may dictate differently. Now, as a teenager, when your authority is questioned, you can have the same reaction as a toddler and express it in anger. Or you may learn to shut it down, to internalize the feelings that you are feeling, to learn to be quiet, to learn to rather have shame and guilt. There are lots of different ways that this can be expressed and evolved. You can not evolve and not change. You can internalize your energy in a way that makes it so that way your boundaries are questioned often, crossed often, because you are not allowed to have boundaries by your society. It may also be that you just move on, continue in your day. Say, I am taking myself out of that situation, or I am preserving my energetic envelope. There are many different reactions to this situation, And as you go through your own evolution within a certain reincarnation, these different habits become solidified. Now, what is important to understand is this reactionary energy to specific events embeds that reactionary energy in those habits within your system, and you continue to repeat them as you grow older unless you become aware of them and change them. And it can be a subconscious awareness that as you are working through other issues and face other challenges, suddenly those things change, even though you did not focus on them. But for most individuals, it does require a specific focus on habits such as these. Now, as you age, it may be that you repeat those same habits that you learned as a teenager, as a young adult, of how you deal with when your authority, boundaries, or self-sovereignty is questioned. Think of how you react to these scenarios and through your own upbringing, your own evolution, your own growth, how that manifested, how you may have changed. And it is difficult because it is hard to remember how you reacted when you were an infant or a toddler because your brain and your memory was not quite as developed as it is now, in the same way that your energetic centers were in development. But as those habits solidify, as you grow older, you repeat those habits. Now, as those events accumulate and add up, it makes it more difficult to get out of this mode of behaving energetically. And this is how you can carry specific energies forward in terms of your reaction to an event. This is a behavior. Now, when it comes to larger events, rather than it is an event that reoccurs over and over, and so therefore creates a patterning, and it is a reaction rather than an internalized energy, there is another way that you can internalize events, because that is a energetic response internalization. You are creating the energy within yourself of the reaction that you are having based off of the conditions around you. This is not the same as a single reaction to a very large event where there is much energy at play. That is more of a cumulative thing that occurs over time. Now, in a single large event, such as a very difficult episode in life, such as a car accident or a traumatic episode, these sorts of things that can result in very difficult moments in one's life, these instead can have a lasting effect because of the energy. Now, in an event where, for example, as we have talked about, your sovereignty has been questioned, your boundaries have been crossed, that can contain specific energies that you are subjected to. It is different depending on the scenario, but those energies coming in can over time add up. So this is why in certain instances that you react in a specific way to certain energetic stimuli, that can be a response of when you're exposed to that energy, you react that way. And so it becomes a habit. But you are not always internalizing that energy. It is a reactionary energy. But in a single event where there is a large amount of energy, which means that there is a large amount of change, when there is a lot of energy moving quickly, this results in a lot of physical changes. A changing physical scenario, often accompanied by lots of moving, chaotic energy, means that there is more energy in the system. And so instead of having the energy that enters into you and then you react to it, but then move on from that energy, you internalize that energy and it becomes part of you. It becomes embedded into your system. Now, this is more likely to occur in large events where there is lots of energy because it is difficult for your system to process this energy accurately. And so this creates trauma. Too much energy, too quickly, that goes unprocessed. This is the definition energetically of trauma. Now, the same can be said of habitual events as they occur. It can be that you invite this energy in over and over and over, and that adds up over time, resulting in a trauma response of responding in a specific way, but it is a response versus a specific event where there is too much energy that goes unprocessed. Rather, is that you have internalized too much of this energy and are unable to transmute it in any way. And so therefore it resides within your energetic complex over a longer period of time. These sorts of energies, both in a response and an energy within yourself that you have internalized, can be transformed in your energy. And it depends on your energetic abilities to do this. Now, when it comes to the habitual events of energy that you may internalize, it is a cumulative effect over and over and over. So if it gets to the point where you can no longer process the cumulative energy that has added up over time because you can tolerate up to a certain level, this can also create trauma, but it is a different way than in a single event. And we want to illustrate this point because in your daily life, as you are right now, the more that you can notice these reactions of energies, that you can reduce that you are carrying this energy forth into your next life. But it is the events that are big, that are traumatic, using our energetic definition, that often will carry forward into the next life in some part. Even if you are able to work through it and transmute it in this lifetime, often there are residual energies that are left behind. Not always, but in many instances. And it is often because humans are not often given the tools necessary to transmute energies and to work through them. And so these traumas energetically accumulate over lifetimes. And so in this lifetime, part of the work as your awareness, as you're coming to it, is to work through these energies, both the energies of your daily life, of certain consistent habits that are causing specific reactions within you that are undesirable, as well as the residual energies from previous lifetimes, from previous events that you have carried forward. So let us speak about how you carry previous events forward and their energy from previous lifetimes. So in a previous lifetime, if you had a very difficult traumatic event that there was too much energy over too short of a period of time, and that energy became embedded into your energetic awareness, into your energetic envelope, when you move on to your next life, that energy has a choice. When you are going through the process that we spoke about in our previous episode of the rest and relaxation and decompression period after you have finished one incarnation. During this time period, your soul gets to choose whether or not you wish to release this energy and transmute it in that moment in the non-physical, or if it is something that you wish to learn how to transmute. Now, it is important to understand that as your soul is learning and growing, its goal is to transmute these energies. And so most souls choose to carry forward these unprocessed energies, these untransmuted energies, to work on them in the next lifetime. This is not always the case, and in most instances in the decompression period, there is an abatement typically of these energies. They are not quite as difficult, they're not quite as present, and yet they remain all the same. It is more that they are merely a shadow of themselves, we would say, that they are that residual energy that is still there. And so what can occur in your next incarnation is that because this energy is contained within yourself, you attract scenarios where that energy is brought into physical manifestation. They are typically less and are less traumatic, less quick, less chaotic, less energy because you contain less of that energy, but it gives your soul the opportunity to work through via different events. As you are attracting this energy to you, it is of a lesser form than when the event first happened in a previous life. And when you face challenge, a challenge is an opportunity for energetic change. And so you face these challenges and you are given the choice internally of, do I want to change this energy that is within myself? If I change this energy within myself, I will not encounter these physical manifestations of this energy more and more. And so it is a cyclical idea of that every time you encounter one of these challenges, you change your energy a little bit. You change it a little bit more. You change it a little bit more. So this is very often why in one specific lifetime you experience challenges that seem very similar Despite that their physical format is different, the energy behind them is similar, and it is because energetically you have this energy within yourself. It is important to understand that it is not truly your energy. It is an energy that you have internalized. And so you can transmute it much more easily than the energies of reactions that you are creating within yourself based off of external events. Those are more difficult to work through. The reason being, those are your energies and your reactions that you are creating versus the energy that is embedded from a previous lifetime as the energy signature, the shadow of an event that occurred. The reaction energy is the more difficult energy to transmute. But as you are able to transmute that energy and to change it into something you find more desirable, that is how your soul grows. Now, as we have previously said, all of these energies exist within you already. It is just merely the expression of them, of what you wish and desire to express and wish and desire to experience. That is what your soul is working through. So, as you are looking at your current lifetime and you are noticing the ways that you react to specific scenarios that occur over and over, what we would like you to contemplate is, what energies am I creating with myself? Are these desirable or are they undesirable? If it is an undesirable energy based off of an event, of a reaction to something small, something that's not too big to deal with, but it is an everyday challenge, what are the energies I am creating within myself? What is something I would desire rather? And to shift your mode of creation within yourself as much as you are able. It is something that you learn to do over a period of time, so be patient and forgive yourself when you are unable to do it quickly. Now, when it comes to when you notice that there are patterns of external events that are different formats but contain very similar energies over and over and over of very consistent challenges, and you notice that within yourself you may contain this same energy, that is when it is time to clear the energy away, to detach it, to remove it, and to repair the areas of your own energy that has internalized this. It is not quite the same as transmuting, but it is more of moving the energy externally that you have internalized that is not yours. These are the two different ways that you work through your energy. When you are creating energy, change the mode of creation. When you are feeling energy that is not yours but seems illogical and yet logical at the same time, it may very well be something from a past life, and so therefore you clear the energy away because it is not yours. This is how you work through different energies, because not only is it changing the mode of creation, but it is also changing the mode of internalization, of I desire to internalize this energy or not, because your energetic envelope does not exist within itself. It exists within a community, within an energy that is much larger than you. So not only is it about the energies that you create within yourself that you are growing through, but also the energies that you are experiencing and taking in. Those are the two methods through which your soul grows and becomes more self-expressed in a way that it desires. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We hope that this clarifies a bit more about soul growth and how it interacts through many different lifetimes. If you have additional questions, we would invite them. We send you great blessings. That is all. Sometimes when channel material comes through, they want to give us so much information that it can be so densely packed into such a short message that it can take a while for us to really understand and internalize it. Because when we listen to channeled material or when we're channeling for ourselves, we receive that energetically and we understand it in the sense of energetic knowing. But sometimes in our thought processes, it takes breaking it down and processing it multiple times before we really quite have that logical understanding. Our energy can get it, but then when we actually try to use it, our logic gets in the way. So let's break it down logically a little bit so you can start to understand these concepts a little bit better from today's episode. Monty defines a few different ways that energy transfer happens between events and us. The first one is in our day-to-day life, there's different events that happen energetically that we deal with. And we can internalize those energies, but it's usually over a long period of time. of a repetition of those energies being presented to us, and then we decide to take those in. It's not usually one event of a small event, a normal energetic transfer that's going to have that energy imprinted on us on a consistent basis. That requires having it happen over a series of events that energy keeps engaging with us very often. But what happens in our day-to-day lives is we have a reactionary energy within our own system where we're creating an energy because we're sensing that energy externally. We create that energy within ourselves of responding to that energetic scenario. It doesn't matter what physical form it's in. If it's the same energy, we have a tendency to create a responsive energy that's the same time to time to time. So as you're noticing in your life right now, if you are feeling, because emotions are indicators of our energy, the same way after a bunch of different events, that means that you're creating this reaction in response to these different events that are carrying, in all likelihood, the same energy. And what we can do is we want to work on that is changing our reaction, changing the mode of creation and the energy that we're creating within ourselves, and noticing those patterns when they come up. So that's the easiest way to kind of visualize that in terms of this individual incarnation where we're at right now. Monty actually talked about that that's actually harder for us to resolve because when we're in the mode of creation, it's an intention that we're setting all the time rather than something passive. And we have to change that intention and change that patterning within ourselves. The second energy that Monty talked about is what he calls a trauma energy. And that is an energy that's going to be carried between lifetime to lifetime. And he defines it as too much energy that we can't process fast enough all at once. So it's going to be some sort of traumatic event. And it may be something that's happening in physical form. He gave the example of a car accident. It could be a traumatic death. It could be any number of different things that can happen in physical form. And if we think about human timelines, there was much, much more physical trauma in human timelines than there is now today in millennia past. So all of us, if we've been in human creation for a while and that we've been in human physical form, we definitely have some of those energies that we have to sort through. But what it is, instead of energies that we have created, they're energies that we have not completely processed through us. It was too much energy for us to take in at once, and so it got lodged in us. And Monty explains the solution for that is energetic clearings, of removing that energy and freeing it from our system. So those are the two ways that our energy evolves and how it affects us from life to life. Monty didn't talk about something today in his channeled material that he has covered a few times in different client sessions that I'd like to share with you as well, is that if you are in a mode of creation all the time in that reaction, you can also continue that in the next lifetime. So it's important to understand the difference between energies that we're creating and energies that we have taken in and how we can resolve those. That the methodology of how we can grow and change and heal is different depending on if it's something we're creating or something that we've internalized. And what we have to really focus our consciousness on is this energy mine? Is it something that I'm creating through conditioning? Or is it something that feels foreign to me, that feels like it's not mine? It's not created through conditioning. So one question you can ask yourself is this a learned energy pattern, or is this an energy I am carrying? And that can help you define which kind of energy it is and which route to go as you're moving forward. So for me, the issue that I'm going through right now is definitely a creative energy. It's not an energy that I'm carrying. Part of that is a reaction to some of the energy that I'm carrying. So I've been working on clearing that energy that I'm carrying, so then I can work on the energy that I'm creating a little bit more easily. But in most of my energy work, when I started earlier on, was about getting rid of the energy that I was carrying and transmuting those energies and clearing them out and getting my energy flowing again. And now I'm at the stage where I'm having to work much more on that reactive energy, those learned energetic behaviors that I need to work through. So I'm seeing this right now in my life as an opportunity to do that. And I hope that you do the same. And it's also about asking yourself, what energy would you rather create? Of understanding that if we grow through our souls, moving towards the energies that we desire, understanding what it is we actually want to have and energy in our way that we're reacting can help us change our intention and our mode of creation. Now, if you're finding that you have those energies embedded within yourself, doing energy clearing practices is a good first step, as well as just setting the intention that anything that's not mine, I'm going to clear it away now and ask for your spirit guides' help. That's what they're there for. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We hope that it was really helpful to understand how you can begin to work with your energy a little bit better. And if you'd like some more support, you can join us in the Awakened Authenticity community, where Monty shares even more messages about how to start creating with your energy a little bit more intentionally, and some exercises to do every single week as part of his weekly channeled messages. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. Know that as you are changing your energy, you're also changing the energy of the world too. And this is why we're being called to this work. If this episode helped you have some realizations, we would love if you would share it with your friends or family who are into spirituality to help them on their own journeys. And we would appreciate any reviews that you could give us on your favorite podcast platform, wherever you're listening. We thank you so much for being here with us, and we will see you in the next one.